This is Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. I'm Star Sports Editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, let's talk a little round ball here. NBA draft is next week. Aaron Gordon will certainly be drafted. Nick Johnson's kind of on the bubble. There's a Tucson name out there, and he's making some news. Bryce Cotton jumped 44 inches working out for the Celtics last week.
I think he probably won't get drafted, but I think someone will sign him right away. Mm-hmm. And if it's not an NBA team who gives him a serious look in the summer camp and in fall training camp, I think the top level of European teams will be on him right away, and he'll make a lot of money. Sure,
Cotton, the Palo Verde guy, you know, it's not like he played at Pottstown State. I mean, he was the best player in the Big East.
Except for when Doug McDermott moved in this year from Creighton in the new league. But you're right, he was. And he had no offers out of Palo Verde until 2 days before school started.
That's crazy. If he were to get drafted, Greg, where would this rate sort of in the all-time feel-good stories when it comes to Tucson basketball?
Wow. You know, Sean Elliott, Fat Lever, Dave Feidel, Santa Rita Center, the only 3 Tucsonans ever to play in the NBA. Wow. So Bryce Cotton, I think, will someday play in the NBA. It's going to be a bigger story later than it is now.
Wow. Now, Greg, let's look ahead to 2015 because, hey, why not? Arizona's got a lot of good returning players. Where do you see the Arizona guys going if they decide to leave early in 2015?
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that and that question because who knows where Kaleb Tarczewski is going to be picked? Mm-hmm. Will he be picked? Mm-hmm. Is he going to be a first rounder? Do you know?
No, well, and that's what's so funny is the odds of a 7-footer getting picked in the top 5 are about as good as the odds of a 7-footer not being drafted at all. I mean, we look at a guy like Sim Bular from New Mexico State, biggest human being I've ever seen in person. He's not getting drafted.
No. But how about Rondae Hollis-Jefferson? A year from now, don't you think he could be a top 10 pick?
I think he's the most intriguing player they've had in 10 years.
He's about the funnest player to watch in the coming year of college basketball, I think.
How much of his differentness is because he's left-handed, Greg? He takes these kind of weird angles and he just looks different than your normal guys.
That's a really good question. I hadn't thought of that, but it certainly makes a difference. He just looks different, and he plays street ball.
He does.
Nothing cows him. He's going to the bucket, and you're going to foul him.
To me, Greg, he's a great combination of the hard-nosed guys that Miller had to have when he first got here, the Jesse Perrys of the world, the guys who maybe weren't skilled but were tough, and then sort of these new highly skilled guys who are coming in. Jefferson's sort of a nice combination of tough and capable.
If Arizona had Rondae Hollis-Jefferson in 2003 or 2005, they would have won the national championship.
Yeah.
Of course, you can say that about any team adding one guy, but to me, he's an element that very few teams have. And a year from now in the draft, he's going to be fascinating.
Yes, absolutely. This is Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. I'm sports editor Ryan Finley, here with Greg Hansen. Greg, let's talk about Tarczewski here for a minute. He's a big, strong kid who obviously made a lot of gains last season. Yep. What does he need to improve on to be a top 10, 20 pick in the year 2015?
He has to be fluid. Don't you think that's it? He has to not look robotic because he's got the physical skills. He just needs to practice them and make him part of the reaction instead of thinking about it. I've always liked him. He's a great kid. If he improves that much to be drafted in the first round next year, Arizona's going to be really, really hard to beat.
Right, and I would argue to you, Greg, that nobody improved more between 2012, 2013, 2013, 2014 than Tarczewski. He was a different guy when he took the floor last year.
And you could tell he has confidence shooting a face-up jumper now.
Yeah, really, really skilled player. All right, enough basketball talk for now. We'll be checking in next week with some post-NBA draft reactions for Greg Hansen. I heard Greg Hansen vertical jumped 44 inches.
It was off a trampoline.
Off of a trampoline, okay. For Greg Hansen, I'm Ryan Finley. This is Greg Hansen's Video Notebook, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. We'll see you next time.
At Domino's, we're slowing down to make our handmade pan pizza the right way, taking our time to hand press the fresh dough into the pan, adding 2 layers of cheese, and slowing our ovens down to get the crust golden and crispy. So try a Domino's handmade pan pizza with 2 toppings for just $7.99.